Diablo 4 Test Realm had good builds that were working as intended, and then there was absolutely broken builds that were using the new mechanics, overscaling them, some items going off the charts, and a lot of skills just working way better than they had any right to. Let me show you the absolute winners of the Test Realm that are so off the charts that Blizzard definitely needs to throw an eye on them. Let's begin with the Necromancer because that's what I'm known for. And here we get the Ebonpiercer Shadowblight Madness. You do trillions, billions of damage because the new Ebonpiercer amulet multiplies your blight, your core skill, and for some reason just over triggers lucky hit. You throw this thing out, you have the Shadow Surge, the Elemental Surge tempering on your gear, and you trigger everything. Your 10%, your 5%, your 25% lucky hit, all of these just trigger away and overload the bosses and suddenly drain their HP like there's no tomorrow. Yes, the Ebonpiercer amulet should trigger more lucky hit because, well, it's more skills at the same time and damage over timing and whatsoever. But if suddenly your 5% lucky hit chance that almost never triggers works every single time, something fishy is going on. This is the case of clearly bugged and should be fixed. No matter how much fun it is to actually play, how much zooming it does, it is just a simple bug that shouldn't be there. Next up, we have the Druid who's currently using Boulder to trigger with the Nature's Fury key passive a Hurricane, and that goes up to trillions of damage. I wish I was joking when I was saying trillions of damage, but you're literally one-hitting tormented bosses, hit 200, world bosses, Uber Duriel, whatever. You're one-hitting everything. This interaction just scales off the charts and is tons of fun to use, but definitely falls under the category of, well, maybe it shouldn't be in the game this way because it's clearly not intended interaction if you can suddenly do 1.7 trillion damage that we have never seen in the game before so far. Followed up by the new Firebolt Sorc, which uses two broken mechanics. First, we have the Flameweaver's Gloves, which whenever you shoot through a firewall, your Firebolt splits up into multiple. Then you can go for the Firebolt multicast setting, and you essentially just shotgun like crazy out and absolutely overwhelm your opponent with gazillions of damage, tormented bosses just being torn into pieces. There's a second thing to this build though, and that is you can reduce the Flame Shield's cooldown essentially to a point where it's permanently active and you can't die. This combination creates an immortal damage-dealing machine with a subpar, not even optimized build, like 5 hours into the PTR, and it's already possible to be pulled off. Definitely a crazy amount of overscaling happening there, and in general, cooldown reduction needs to be looked at in the PTR because you can cooldown reduce quite too much, and that's something that Blizzard actually didn't want and nerfed in the beginning of the game. Now for Barbarian, if you have missed this, you must be living under a rock. We're talking about the Dust Devil Barbarian. Your whole screen is, well, non-visible anymore. Your friends can't see anything. Your granny's 3 buildings over can't see anything anyways. And the damage is way too damn high. I mean, yes, they were hyped about Dust Devil during the Fireside chat, and they said make it possible at any cost. But how could they have not tested this and come to this conclusion that it will be so hardcore breaking the Barbarian again? This level of damage I can't even reach with the absolute broken Ebonpiercer build. Tormented bosses, pit to 100, whatever, being completely thrown out of the window. Yes, a fun build, but alone from a visual standpoint, already something they need to be taken care of. I don't even mind the damage. Barbarian is anyways overtuned, so leave it be as it is. You can't nerf that thing to the ground. As a little bonus in the sorcerer department, they wanted Frost Orbs to be good. They wanted Frost Orbs to be strong. And they even made a brand new unique for it to make it even stronger because it seemed like it wasn't powerful enough. Well, thank you PTR for showing us that if Blizzard truly wants something to be good, they'll also make it good, but they'll kind of make it so good to the point that what the hell is happening here right now? It looks like an absolute incredible fun build, just teleporting around and throwing tons of frost orbs that are absolutely obliterating everything. And since now you can determine the point of impact and you don't have to hope for them to actually impact where you want them anymore, well, it kind of seems like that frost orb has turned to the point of what the hell is happening here. Always asking myself if Blizzard does actually test their own things or just tweak some knobs in hopes that it doesn't go like completely crazy. Now throwing a curveball back to Necromancer and minions. They're absolutely incredible right now and completely devastate any kind of content. Might it be the Pit 200 or the Tormented bosses? They're falling. And every single build is better with minions. Might it be Bone Spear, Shadow, Blood? All of them work better with it. Now you could say, wow, maybe they overtuned minions since everything is now better with them. But isn't this also what Necromancer should be? I mean, it's the one thing. Minions, the summons. That's why you technically actually play the Necro. You play the Sorc for sorcery, you play the Druid for druiding, and you play the Barbarian for, well, whirlwinding and hotaing around. And the Necromancer for, well, necromancering for minions. The biggest problem with the minions is, how would we balance this even now to make it weaker? Because technically they're not even stronger than any of these other crazy builds or even the strong builds of the other classes. They're just simply strong right now. And if you would reduce their stats from 100% down to 50, 60, 70, something like this, all the multipliers wouldn't suddenly not multiply anymore. The survival would not be survivaling. And we would be back to minions completely being useless from the get-go again. And all other Necromancer builds outshining what minions can even do. Heads up here, there's another interesting theory craft on a maximum intelligence Necromancer because of a interesting Paragon node called Wither, but that's for another video. Lastly, the Surge Rogue. This build or these builds are heavily relying on Elemental Surge, which probably is a tempering that generally needs to be talked about. The 40% chance to do a huge amount of physical damage, poison damage, fire damage. Any build can actually use this Elemental Surge, and lucky hit chance in the PTR could be scaled extremely high, especially with the Masterworking and the greater affixes. This led to constant explosions of this Elemental Surge proc, and it can critical strike. It does get multiplied by your multipliers. You can boost it up into oblivion. Pair this together with the insane attack speed, the rapid firing, the multiple damages, the double core skill trigger twice triggering, and suddenly you are just flying through the content and everything gets demolished. Either lower the damage of the Surge or lower the proc chance. Probably just lowering the damage would already go a long way. I love to see lucky hit going off the charts, but the ease of use seems to be a little bit on the too simple side to keep it this way. Ladies and gentlemen, what's the absolute most OP thing you have seen on the test servers? Tell us in the comments below. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against fun and strong builds, but something overtuned and clearly bugged shouldn't just simply be in the game. That's not fun. This makes other classes just feel like, why don't I have a bug build? Why didn't they fix this? And that's annoying. If you actually want to see a strong Necromancer that's just simply clearing Pit 200 without any bugs or anything, enjoy. Plenty fantastic.